And thank you, Chaplain Carver, for that wonderful invocation. I think we can all agree this is a good day for America. Our country has kept its commitment to see that justice is done. The world is safer. It is a better place because of the death of Osama bin Laden. Today, we are reminded that as a nation, there's nothing we can't do. When we put our shoulders to the wheel, when we work together, when we remember the sense of unity that defines us as Americans. And we've seen that spirit, that patriotism in the crowds that have gathered here outside the White House, at Ground Zero in New York, and across the country. People holding candles, waving the flag, singing the national anthem. People proud to live in the United States of America. And we're reminded that we are fortunate to have Americans who dedicate their lives to protecting ours. They volunteer, they train, they endure separation from their families. They take extraordinary risks so that we can be safe. They get the job done. We may not always know their names. We may not always know their stories, but they are there every day on the front lines of freedom, and we are truly blessed. I do want to acknowledge, before we begin the ceremony, two individuals who have been critical as part of my team who are here today. First of all, I think somebody who will go down as one of the finest Secretaries of Defense in our history, Secretary Bob Gates, who is here. And sitting beside him, someone who served with incredible valor on behalf of this country and is now somebody who I think will go down as one of the greatest secretaries of Veterans Affairs in our history, Eric Shinseki. Now, I have to say that as Commander-in-Chief, I could not be prouder of our men and women in uniform. That is true now in today's wars. It has been true in all of our wars, and it is why we are here today. Long ago, a poet of the First World War wrote of the sacrifice of young soldiers in war. They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Today, we are joined by two American families who 6 decades ago gave our nation one of their own. Private First Class Henry Svela and Private First Class Anthony Kaho'ohanono. They did not grow old. These two soldiers made the ultimate sacrifice when they were just 19 and 21 years old. Age did not weary them. In the hearts of their families, they remain forever young, loving sons, protective brothers, hometown kids who stood tall in America's hometown, in America's uniform. Today we remember them, and we honor them with the highest military decoration that our nation can bestow, the Medal of Honor. In doing so, we also honor their families, who remind us that it is our extraordinary military families who also bear the heavy burden of war. We are joined by members of Congress who are here. We are very grateful for you. We are also joined by leaders from the Army and our armed forces, including Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, and the Vice Chairman, General Jim Haas Cartwright. There they are, right there. And this is not in the script, but let me just acknowledge that without the leadership of Bob Gates, Mike Mullen, Haas Cartwright, today and yesterday would not have happened. And their steadiness and leadership has been extraordinary. I could not be prouder of them, and I'm so grateful that they've been part of our team. So. I especially want to welcome some of those who fought so bravely 60 years ago, our inspiring Korean veterans, Korean War veterans who have made the trip here, and I also want to acknowledge those who are welcoming 2 more American heroes into their ranks, members of the Medal of Honor Society. Thank you so much for your presence. This past November, I paid a visit to South Korea, a visit that coincided with the 60th anniversary of the start of the Korean War, as well as November 11th, Veterans Day. And I was privileged to spend part of the day with our troops and with dozens of veterans of the Korean War, members of a generation who, in the words of their memorial here in Washington, fought for a country they never knew and a people they never met. It was a generation that included Private First Class Anthony Kaho'ohanohano. Tony grew up in Hawaii, in Maui. He learned early that we have a duty to others from his father, a dedicated police officer, and his mother, who devoted herself to their 9 children. Tony was a tall guy. He loved Hawaii, swimming in the ocean, playing basketball. Sounds like my kind of guy. His siblings remember him as the big brother, quiet but strong, who took care of them, stood up for them in the neighborhood, and who would treat them to ice cream. Tony's loyalty to family was matched by his love of country, even though Hawaii wasn't even a state yet. By September 1951, the Korean War had been raging for more than a year, and Tony was part of the 17th Infantry Regiment, 7th Infantry Division, which had been fighting for strategic hills that could shape the course of the war. His squad was near a village called Chupari when they came under ferocious attack. With the enemy advancing, with his men outnumbered, Tony made a decision. He ordered his squad to fall back and seek cover. And then Tony did something else. He stayed behind, machine gun in hand. He laid down fire so his men could get to safety. He was one American soldier alone against an approaching army. When Tony was wounded in the shoulder, he fought on. He threw grenade after grenade. When his weapon ran out of ammunition, he grabbed another. And when he ran out of ammo, he reached for the only thing left, a shovel. That's when the enemy overran his position. And in those final moments, the combat was hand-to-hand. It was that bravery, that courage of the single soldier that inspired his men to regroup, to rally, and to drive the enemy back. And when they finally reached Tony's position, the measure of his valor became clear. After firing so many bullets, the barrel of his machine gun was literally bent. But Tony had stood his ground. He had saved the lives of his men. After his death, Tony was awarded the Army's second highest award for valor, the Distinguished Service Cross. But his family felt he deserved more, and so did Senator and World War II vet Danny Akaka. We're honored that Senator Akaka has joined us, as well as Mazie Hirono, and obviously we are extraordinarily grateful that we're joined by another senator and a Medal of Honor recipient, Dan Inouye. Thank you so much for your presence. Now, Hawaii is a small state, but the Kaho'ohanohanos are a very big family. In fact, I went to high school with one of their cousins, Whitey. Tell Whitey I said, how's it? This is a remarkable family. Service defines them. Tony's father and all 6 sons served in the military. Another member of the family has served in Afghanistan. Nearly 30 members of the family have traveled from Hawaii to be here, including Tony's sister Elaine and brother Eugene, for the sacrifice that your family endured, for the service that your family has rendered. Thank you so much. Mahalo nui loa. I would ask that you all join me in welcoming Tony's nephew George, who worked for so many years to get his uncle the honor that he deserved. George.
The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, March 3, 1863, has awarded, in the name of Congress, the Medal of Honor to Private First Class Anthony T. Kaho'ohanohano, United States Army, for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. Private First Class Anthony T. Kaho'ohanohano, Company H, 17th Infantry Regiment, 7th Infantry Division, distinguished himself by extraordinary heroism in action against the enemy in the vicinity of Chupari, Korea, on 1 September 1951. On that date, Private First Class Kaho'ohanohano was in charge of machine gun squad supporting the defensive positioning of Company F when a numerically superior enemy force launched a fierce attack. Because of the enemy's overwhelming numbers, friendly troops were forced to execute a limited withdrawal. As the men fell back, Private First Class Kaho'ohanohano ordered his squad to take up more defensible positions and provide covering fire for the withdrawing friendly force. Although having been wounded in the shoulder during the initial enemy assault, Private First Class Kaho'ohanohano gathered a supply of grenades and ammunition and returned to his original position to face the enemy alone. As the hostile troops concentrated their strength against his emplacement in an effort to overrun it, Private First Class Kaho'ohanohano